And welcome back to America Talks Live. I'm Bill Tucker, filling in for Steve Malzberg today. That was a fun last block. We hope you're enjoying yourselves. We do want you to join this program, want you to be a part of it. Taking your calls, 877-Newsmax. That's 877-639-7629. Joining us now is Tim Graham. He's Director of Media Analysis for the Media Research Center, and he's the Executive Editor at newsbusters.org. Tim, thanks for being here. Appreciate it.
Sure.
We got a whole bunch of stuff that it seems to me we could talk about, but I want to start first with sort of the foundation of this conversation, which is the latest Gallup News poll shows that our trust in mainstream media is at an all-time low. We got 40% of Americans trust the media, 60% don't. Democrats, 54% trust the media, while the remainder don't. And at the GOP and independent level, only 27% of the Republicans and 37% of the independents trust the mainstream media. You look at the media all day long. I'm sure you're not surprised, but give us your reactions to our falling trust in the mainstream media in this country.
This is what happens in a cycle where the media has decided, well, we shouldn't treat these candidates as equals. We should denounce Donald Trump as a fact mangler, as someone who doesn't take facts seriously. And somehow, by comparison, Hillary Clinton never lies. She never says anything that's dubious. She never says anything that's negative or name-calling. This is sort of the impression you get. That's why people, especially, again, Republicans and independents, anybody who's watching television in the last year knows that the news media has a big club out for Donald Trump, and especially now that he's actually the Republican nominee. So the polls only show the reality.
Well, it's really interesting, and I think it comes down, Tim, to some really kind of basic, simple truths. And let's take, for example, the way the mainstream media has treated Hillary Clinton's health issues. Clearly, a lot of Americans are concerned about whether she's fit enough or whether she's healthy enough or whether she's capable of being the president. There's a lot of speculation about how maybe she had a stroke. Maybe she's got a blood clot. Maybe she's got all kinds of problems we don't know about. And the attention paid by the mainstream news media seems to be non-existent. We're a whole lot more worried about some silly thing or something that Donald Trump did than paying attention to what we know millions of Americans are concerned about. Is that the kind of bias you're talking about?
Sure. Up until her September 11 collapse into the van, the only way the media talked about Hillary's health was to say, look at these wacky conspiracy theories that are being uncorked. And if you're a journalist, you could say, I want to have a story proven before I run with it. But again, they've done this over and over again where they take stories they haven't proven yet and they run around with them. Everybody remember, Herman Cain, we think he's been sexually harassed by somebody who will remain anonymous, but that's good enough for us. That's not a conspiracy theory because we hate Herman Cain. So we have a totally different standard for you Republicans. And that's what we're facing. Obviously, if the news media want to say we are on a standard of proving a story before we run with it, everybody should say that's a good standard.
Yeah.
But the reality is, yes, Hillary Clinton now is an untrustworthy person. They should know that by now. And this was merely the latest demonstration of how they hide and bury information they don't want us to know.
Well, there's a record here, and I did a piece for the Newsmax Facebook page about a week and a half ago, saying she has a medical record that is public, that we know about. They give you a basis for being concerned about it. And yet initially the media response was not, look at that, that's right, there is a track record, let's work off of that. Immediately they begin saying, well, we want Donald Trump's health records. And I would look at friends of mine and say, but Donald Trump hasn't collapsed. Donald Trump didn't get a concussion. Donald Trump has done nothing or exhibited any kind of behavior from a health standard that would give me reason to do that. Why are you following the bait? It's literally the red herring across the trail, and they went off and followed it instead of going and talking about, hey, she does have some problems. We do have a history. And now that Trump has released his medical records, which he did yesterday on Dr. Oz, right or wrong, it's there. They don't seem to be believing Donald Trump and still want to say he's hiding stuff.
Well, I mean, obviously, his disclosure is not utterly complete, and neither is hers. But look, the Democrats are going to say we want to see Trump's tax returns, we want to see Trump's medical records, and the Republicans are going to say the otherwise. We'd love to see Hillary's transcripts of her Wall Street speeches. You haven't heard the media talk about making any demands of Hillary Clinton for her Wall Street speech transcripts. That was apparently just a Bernie Sanders line, and they don't have to care anymore. So the question is, do we have a media that follows a single standard for their politicians? You are absolutely right. At this point, only one of the candidates has showed an actual health issue in this general election process. So they should be facing more questions, not an equal amount of questions.
Right.
They should be facing more questions on that particular thing. And so we have a news media that doesn't do that.
You're right. And thanks, Tim. I got to run.